notices, criminal records, wanted across the world and also highlighted by the Interpol, get Canadian citizenship and entry into Canadian soil.
Well, you basically said on this Khalistan question, India and Canada were not talking to each other, they were rather talking past each other.
Or when the Indian government did want to talk or the Indian foreign minister did want to talk, I often felt that we either didn't want to listen or we didn't have time to listen.
Every good argument is based on hard facts. Facts that are indivisible and uncompromised. Watch me, Rahul Shivshankar, bring you a clear point of view based on indisputable facts.
The Hard Facts, starting 2nd October, only on CNN News 18.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching Viewpoint. I'm Anusha Soni. From Chikmagaluru to Kalaburgi to Mandya, the Cauvery water wars have escalated sharply. Hundreds of members of Pro-Kannada organization have taken to the streets across Karnataka. This is in protest against the release of Cauvery river water to the state of Tamil Nadu. The statewide bandh is currently in progress and hundreds of protesters have been taken into custody from various parts of the state. As a result of the protest, 44 flights were cancelled at the Bengaluru International Airport, leading to chaos as protesters gathered and shouted slogans. The dawn to dusk protest has disrupted normal life with transportation services, hotels, restaurants and other facilities across the state. All commercial establishments, including shops, malls, hotel, restaurant, you name a business and it has been affected because it is closed. Autos and taxi services are unavailable under Section 144, which has been imposed in the city. Chief Minister Mr. Siddaramaiah has announced that the direction of the CWRC or the Cauvery Water Tribunal is not going to be implemented. That particular order that spoke of releasing the water to the state of Tamil Nadu will now be challenged at the Supreme Court of India. The BJP, on the other hand, is accusing the Congress government of favouring India's ally DMK, whose government is in Tamil Nadu right now. Once again, the Cauvery bandh has cast a shadow over daily lives of ordinary citizens in Karnataka. Businesses closing, streets emptying, it is the Aam Aadmi who bears the brunt. As livelihoods are disrupted and routines thrown into chaos, the question remains, will this suffering ultimately lead to lasting solutions or this will continue and at the cost of political incentives of various political parties? We talk about that story on Viewpoint tonight.
Karnataka bandh is totally peaceful. We are seeing that no SR should happen. Nothing FSR is going on. All the people are cooperating. We are given full protection to everyone.
Out of the 34 taluks in Karnataka, which are situated in the Cauvery basin, 32 are declared as severely drought hit. Are they trying to approach this issue in this duplicit manner because it is going to help their India alliance partner, the DMK government, for 2024?
कल से हम यहाँ से बैठे हुए, अभी तक तो मिला नहीं. बस कल रात को यहीं पर बैठे हुए थे हम, इधर ही रह रहे थे, तो ऐसे चल रहा था.
Well, let's take this question to our guest as well, that this bandh has clearly affected the economy and the lives of people living in the state of Karnataka. The Cauvery River dispute is an old one. There's a Supreme Court order, multiple orders in fact, and a judgment as well. However, that has not resolved this dispute conclusively. At least the protest tells us so. Let's cut across to our guests who are joining us on the broadcast. We have Mr. Bhaskar Rao, the spokesperson from the Karnataka BJP. We'll have the Congress party, Dhruv Jatti, joining us in just a bit from now. We also have R.K. Upadhyay, who's a senior journalist, joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Mr. Rao, first to you. It seems like that the BJP has a lot of questions for the Congress party, the ruling party in the state of Karnataka, and rightly so. But on what basis do you argue, or does the BJP argue, that in some way Karnataka government is hand in gloves with the DMK because they're their allies? It's one of the statements that has been made so far.
People of Karnataka feel that the state's interests have been severely compromised for political purposes. That is number one. Number two, the facts of rainfall, inflow, position of water, etc. have not been presented before the CWMA to enable it to take a proper decision. These two reasons are the cause of great anger amongst everybody. Let us keep the politics aside. There is a government in place whose primary responsibility was to ensure drinking water is available for Bangalore city as well as the people around Bangalore city, and water is available for irrigation as well as for industrial purposes. On both counts, the government has severely failed, knowing very well from May, June onwards that there was a shortage of rainfall. Why did they not act? But they chose to please their DMK ally, which is a part of their India alliance. That is the reason for anger. And you are talking about the anger of Aam Aadmi. Aam Aadmi is only expressing his anger now. If I know today inconvenience has taken place, but this is only an expression of anger and disgust against the government over there. The same people are going to
I take all your points, and we'll have the Congress party in just a bit to respond to all the charges you've made against the government.
I fully agree.
But I have one question for the BJP. But I have one question for the BJP. This entire math of Bandh politics, you know, the Congress party
cannot follow. I fully agree with you.
You agree that Bandh cannot continue and it should not be supported in any form and manner?
See, Bandh is an expression of anger. It's an emotional outburst. How can you prevent collective outburst, madam? The government of the day, at least it should have assuaged. We are doing something. We are taking care of it. The government is not sensitive at all. And two bunds have taken place, which is not just one bund.
Well, sir, we thought that we are far ahead of that era where the bunds and were called in to disrupt the economy, and somehow people, their livelihoods versus the government, that narrative I believe is far gone. There are various ways in which you can protest, you can express yourself, and people should do that. It's a right under Constitution. But to shut down businesses like this, to disrupt normal lives in this manner, I believe it affects very adversely the economy of a growing and a thriving state like Karnataka.
I fully agree with you. But please go back one step and find out why it has taken place. Why government has failed to stop this bandh by acting properly. Did it assuage the feelings of the people who are hurt? They feel cheated. Their anger. Their disgust. Bandh is not going to solve a problem. I fully agree with you.
All right, let's also move on and talk to Mr. R.K. Upadhyay, who is with us on the broadcast. Mr. Upadhyay, when we talk about this bandh or the manner in which the lives have been disrupted, that's one thing most of us would agree, that all right, you have an issue, whether it's the Cauvery water dispute or any other dispute, but to support a bandh in this manner, even the government is accused that they did not really try to solve the problem. Instead, they went with a certain degree of a populistic approach when it came to this particular issue or problem.
Now, bandh, I think, is an expression of frustration and anger among the people. I mean, they feel helpless. You know, the way Karnataka has been boxed into a situation where they don't have water, but still Tamil Nadu keeps demanding more and more water. I mean, that's the whole problem. And then we have this India alliance, which is proving to be disastrous for Karnataka, I would say, because see, even before Tamil Nadu approached the court, 15 TMC of water Karnataka had released. That's because they had orders from Congress High Command in Delhi. So there has always been a problem when there is a shortage of water. For the last 7-8 years, we didn't face this because there was copious rains. But this year, it has been very acute shortage, and there is not enough water in the Cauvery basin at all. I mean, I'll give you one piece of statistics. That is, KRS is one of the main reservoirs from which the water goes to Tamil Nadu.
Right.
It has 17 TMC of water, whereas in Metro across the border, today's figure shows they have 93 TMC of water. 93 as against 17. And they're still asking Karnataka to release water, because they have a right over it. I mean, this is a historical injustice that has been done to Karnataka, and nobody seems to be, in a position to solve it. The whole problem has come up because of the iron-fisted activities of the Tamil Nadu government over 2 centuries. It was in 1898, first agreement was signed with Karnataka, and then 1924, when Karnataka was just a vassal state and Tamil Nadu or Madras state was under the British presidency. So they made sure that Karnataka always suffered when it came to the Cauvery dispute.
Yeah.
In 1974, this was supposed to extinguish the agreement, but Tamil Nadu said no. And so Karnataka feels that it has been done in by historical reasons, and also it continues even after the independence because of the various tribunals award, and then what this Karnataka the water management authority are doing.
Sandeep,
I think all this has led to a situation where Karnataka people feel helpless, and now we are facing a drought situation. And I think if it doesn't rain another month or so, there could be rationing of water in Bangalore city. Bangalore city has a population of 1.3 crores, and it has about 30% of Tamilians living in Bangalore.
And we call it the IT capital of the country. There are so many other urban issues which are affecting the city of Bengaluru. The Bandh has already added to the woes of the city and various other urban centers, and I would argue the entire economy of the state has been affected. Sandeep, how is it that the IT capital of the country is able to deal with what's happening right now? It's a serious issue. It's before the Supreme Court, and the appropriate tribunals and courts in this country are going to decide what Karnataka and Tamil Nadu should do. That's what has been done earlier. There are protests which are happening, but this Bandh politics clearly dampens the sentiment of growth and development.
See, my response to this will be multifaceted.
Sure.
First of all, if you ask me how did the IT capital respond to this, there was a traffic grid jam day before because everybody were leaving town to go on a vacation. So the average citizen in Bangalore doesn't seem to be concerned about anything. They saw 5 days of continuous holidays, and so they left the city in a hurry, creating traffic jams. Now, coming to the point of the validity of the Bandh, see, first and foremost, we need to understand that citizens have to have a platform for venting, which is why our constitution legitimizes protest, it legitimizes dissent. So dissent is an essential aspect of democracy. Without that, we won't remain a democracy, it will become a dictatorship. So there is a legitimate need for people to be able to protest when things are not right, when the government is not performing to the citizens' satisfaction. Then we should even have the right to recall, but our constitution unfortunately doesn't provide it. So, but at least protesting is an absolute must. Now, how should this be facilitated? If you ask me, every legislature, every parliament building should have a protest maidan right outside it, because then citizens can remind their public servants every day that they are reporting to us citizens. These politicians tend to forget after they get elected. For the next 5 years, they don't care about the citizens. So if we had this facility where people can protest in front of the legislature every day on the issues of that day or whatever, then people don't have to resort to bandhs. People don't have to resort to protesting in other places. We can have a proper legitimate space for protests in front of the legislatures itself. Another thing is, I think we have to borrow a leaf from the UK Parliament. In UK Parliament, if you get about 1 lakh votes or 10 lakh votes to a petition, then the legislature has to pick it up as a matter of either as a bill. You can actually petition Parliament to.
Well, Sandeep, I
bring about
really
a bill.
wish we had
Yeah.
that participative democracy and those norms in our country. Unfortunately, that does not exist. What is heartening is that the Karnataka elections, the assembly elections were fought on the hyper-local issues. Bengaluru urban mess was a huge issue. But it seems like this Bandh politics, whether it's on the Cauvery issue or on some other issues that we've seen in the past, has only stifled the economy. Mr. Bhaskar Ram, coming back to you. When it comes to the present government, they have taken a position. They are saying we are going to challenge the orders of the Cauvery Water Management Authority before the Supreme Court of India, and the state has taken a position that it's going to look after its own interests. At multiple times, the Supreme Court has had to intervene, even in the past, that Karnataka must strike some kind of a balance when it comes to the interest of the state versus the interest of the neighboring states like Tamil Nadu. In this case, moving forward, do you agree with the approach that the state government has taken so far?
No, it is incomplete. At the very outset, the proper facts and figures of the state of rainfall, inflow, groundwater situation, failure of southwest monsoon, etc. should be highlighted before the CWMA. In fact, the CWMA is better informed than the petition itself. If you look at the affidavit submitted by Government of Karnataka, any common man can see that it has absolutely no facts and figures to highlight the suffering of the people of Karnataka. That is number one. Number two, we have to now set aside water politics, water fight and water wars. We have to enter the area of water statesmanship, not even water diplomacy. I would like to bring to your kind notice, in late 80s, I think, M.G. Ramchandran, when he was faced with a severe drinking water problem in Chennai used to get water from the Red Hills, approached the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Shri N.T. Ramarao, with his entire set of ministers saying, brother, I don't have drinking water. How can you help me? I mean, there was humility and there was statesmanship and there was a genuine request for help.
Yeah.
Though Krishna River does not flow into Andhra Pradesh, does not flow into Tamil Nadu, 5 TMC of water was graciously given away by N.T. Ramarao to Chennai for drinking water purpose. This is called leadership and statesmanship. Why is it lacking today? And today, madam, water is being divided between India and Pakistan, Indus River. Ganga water is being divided by the Farakka agreement between India and Bangladesh. Brahmaputra is being divided, distributed between 5 countries from China, Tibet, Burma, Bangladesh, India. There is no such kind of street fights. Why street fight within one state, within one country between 2 states? It is because severely there is lack of leadership and statesmanship. That is one. Number 2, there is a complete lack of distress formula sharing. Now, Karnataka is not even able to supply about 100 TMC of water as per the agreement because there is no water. Last year, Karnataka ensured that 660 TMC of water flowed inside Tamil Nadu through Biligondlu. Biligondlu is the place where the water is measured across. Now, both of them need to sit together and have water storage facilities for Karnataka as well as for Tamil Nadu. That way, Tamil Nadu has been smarter than Karnataka because they were placed legally.
No, but Mr. Rao, the problem that emerges is that these issues are not seen as some kind of administrative issues or the issues of resource allocation that should be tackled. They rather become a subject of political egos and political battle between different states because the parties ruling the states are very, very different. The center is also in a precarious situation because it is often asked to meddle. And then these matters drag at the tribunal and at the courts. The farmers are suffering. The local people in different states are suffering. It's only because administratively we've not been able to resolve a conflict like it should have been. Mr. Upadhyay, do you think the politics around this entire issue has somewhere shrouded the solutions that should have been on the table, and that's why you have the bandhs which are being offered as some kind of solutions?
No, absolutely. I think if both the states
Mr.
sit together,
Upadhyay.
I know if both the states sit together and work it out, it is possible. You see, in a distress year, you know how much of water has come and how much of rain has come. I mean, now everything is recorded and everybody knows how much of water is there in each state. So unless you work out as to how do we deal with the situation, it will not help. See, Tamil Nadu is sticking to whatever has been allotted to it. See, last year, as Bhaskar Rao was saying, that Karnataka has released 660 TMC of water, and that's not taken into consideration. They want, as stipulated by the tribunal, week by week supply every year. And it's not possible when there is no rain. See, rain depends on natural when it's not happening, how will Karnataka supply it? So that has been the crux of the problem. I mean, Tamil Nadu should stop, behaving like an unscrupulous moneylender who will never, agree that, his loan has been cleared. He keep on building up on what has not been given last year, and then you say you still have to give so much more, so much more. How is it possible? I think that is where the statesmen should come in, and the political leaders of both the states should sit together and then discuss it and work it out. And there's a lot of wastage of water that's happening in both the states, in Karnataka as well as Tamil Nadu.
Interesting.
In Bangalore
Interesting
city
that you
also
made
there is a 15% leakage of drinking water which is being supplied. This has to be plugged. And
Professor Chandan Gaura is also joining us on the broadcast. Professor Gaura, first your thoughts on the Bandh that we saw today. Nobody is underestimating the severity or the importance of the problem that states like Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are facing, especially with lower rainfalls and a drought-like situation. The supply of water is critical to both the states. The matter is sub judice. It will be heard in the Supreme Court in all likelihood once again. But is Bandh really the solution to it?
Bandh is not a solution to it. If you notice, there were two Bandh calls. There was one Bandh on 2 days ago, and one today. Today, it is predominantly the Pro-Kannada organizations. And if you just think about why two Bandhs, and the previous Bandh was called by political parties mostly. Also, there were a couple of farmers' organizations also there. So, what is immediately detectable is that the issue of Cauvery is something that different sorts of groups have tried to represent as something that they deeply care for, and they are better representing the cause of the needs of Karnataka, the water needs of Karnataka. And really, if everyone was united on that, they should all have come together on the same day. But there is there are different attempts at claiming that legacy of, please remember, this is an old issue. It's been there for a couple of decades now. And the same, the Kannada organizations have tried to make it their issue, and political parties have to make it their issue, but they turn it against the Congress government in this case, because Congress and the DMK are part of one coalition, so they try to make it, you're not doing enough.
Is there any factual accuracy to those allegations? Because I don't see any, for the simple reason that they have to fight it out in the Supreme Court of India. It's not a political dialogue they have to have and settle the matter under, under the pretext of really sorting it out between the two states. It's adversarial litigation, so they can't really have an understanding about it.
But this is exactly what is the point, ma'am. See, that the law can decide on one course of action. Then the demand, and then the Karnataka has felt that the judgment of the Supreme Court has been unfair to Karnataka's farmers and to the drinking water needs of the state. So they feel it's okay for us to put pressure on the state government to go against the tribunals or the regulatory authorities.
I believe Mr. Bhaskar Rao has a point to make. Mr. Rao, please go ahead.
The government of the day had decided to do something. They could have at least assuaged the people, saying that we are doing something, acted, instead of being absolutely indifferent. The chief minister and the deputy chief minister are at loggerheads over there. And they have no patience to even talk decently to the farmers. The agriculture minister has been telling, Tamil Nadu needs water, we must give water to them. Then the agriculture minister tells the Mandya farmers, now don't plant rice and sugarcane. You plant ragi as well as less water bearing crop. What kind of sensitivity the state, this government came to power only about 4 months ago. And within that period, it has become so arrogant and so insensitive. That is the reason we all feel very upset and very let down. You are right. Bandh is not going to solve any problem. Bandh is only an expression of anger, frustration. So the only solution that is in front of us right now is that both chief ministers should talk and resolve this issue immediately on their own, and the actual position should be seen by a team.
Mr. Upadhyay, 44 flights were cancelled today. The entire urban infrastructure in the city of Bengaluru was disrupted. Section 144 was in place at different locations. The economy came to a screeching halt. The life for a common person came to a screeching halt. Is this really a manner in which disputes in 21st century by the world's biggest democracy are going to be solved? I mean, what kind of image does it project, that if it's a dispute between the two states, would it really bring the economy of a state like Karnataka, one of the best performing states on various indices, to a halt of this nature?
That is really the tragedy, because I think, the way it affects the economy, the brand image of Bangalore city, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I think every Bangalorean feels sorry about it. But, I think the level of frustration, the level of, helplessness, I would say, have made people to support this. And I don't think anyone in his heart of heart, wants to support a band like this. Like, we didn't have this kind of a support for the last 7-8 years. How has it happened this time now? And, and it was spontaneous. People didn't had to go around, forcing people to close.
Yeah.
Because they feel that, this has become so grave that we need to say something to the people, to the authorities, that they realize that the situation is very grave. So what the two states and the central government have to do is what they used to do earlier, that they sit together and talk. The Prime Minister would call the two chief ministers, and then, he would find out the solution. That's the only way I find that it can be done. See, earlier we had this Cauvery River Authority headed by the Prime Minister. That has been taken away by this new law. So now, see, unless there is a political dialogue, I don't think this can be resolved legally. This is not an issue which can be resolved legally.
Exactly.
This has to be, have to find a political solution. And for that, both the states should agree and sit and discuss.
Well, that model has been tried earlier as well, and even judicial orders haven't really helped. I'm going to take closing comments from everyone. Sandeep, the word, from you, is there a disconnect in terms of issues? While the farmers in coastal Karnataka have all the right to be very worried, and in different parts of Karnataka, especially which are feeling the effects of drought and low rainfall, which has been reported in different parts, even in Tamil Nadu, similar situation has been witnessed. But in urban centers, as you said, a lot of people have just taken a long weekend off and gone out of the city. Is there a clear disconnect, the classic rural-urban divide that we talk about?
No, Anusha, it is not a urban-rural disconnect or something like that. Bengaluru will suffer the most. If once the water goes to Tamil Nadu, Bengaluru is already suffering a water shortage. Not only is Cauvery water supply deficient right now in most parts of the city, first of all, the Cauvery water is supplied only to half of the city. The rest of the city was depending on groundwater. Now groundwater is dried up literally. So now wherever Cauvery water supply is deficient, like if it doesn't come for a week or two, when people contact tankers, even they don't have water. So Bengaluru is actually walking into a day zero situation right now. It is a city that will suffer the most. People who have gone on a vacation now will have to permanently leave the city in another year. So that is how grave and serious the problem for the city is. For farmers, it is equally grave because for them, they have become dependent on irrigation, and water levels have been falling over the years. A lot of farmers are in extreme pain. Now, as all your other panelists are talking, the judiciary cannot actually give a solution. Neither can politics, let me tell you. Why? Because the water level is reducing. Cauvery is drying up year on year. As the waters reduce... I
have last 1 minute on the show, and I do want to bring in Mr. Rao as well. I have one last minute on the show. Mr. Rao, 30 seconds to you.
Quickly tell you this.
If judiciary is not the last word, I'm not speaking legally, but in terms of this problem cropping up multiple times, how is it that we can settle this dispute in some form of conclusive manner? Mr. Rao, 30 seconds.
Immediately, a Delhi technical team should come from Delhi and look at the situation and advise the CWMA whether Karnataka is still in a position to release water or not. That is possible.
All right.
And number two, both the chief ministers should talk to each other.
Mr. Gowda, do you agree with that suggestion, that that's the way to go forward instead of these bandh calls?
Absolutely. The bandhs won't happen if there is a perception that things is being treated fairly, right? I mean, see what even the Supreme Court has suggested this time, we won't interfere. Let the Water Management Authority go there and decide for itself what the ground realities are and decide how much water Karnataka can afford to leave. So the situation has to be dynamic and context sensitive. You can't have one model to hold for years to come. It has to be a dynamic, contextually driven model that changes from week to week. As you can see, the water release capacity is already changed from 5,000 cusecs to 3,000 cusecs. That is some index of someone is thinking, but for this to be accepted as a solution, a lot more has to be done to build legitimacy.
I remember this discussion at the Supreme Court as well before the 2018 final judgment had really come out, that this water dispute requires political solutions, and political solutions rarely come from judicial corridors. On that note, thank you gentlemen for joining us on the broadcast. I'm very sorry, sir, that's all the time that I have today. I'm sure we'd keep discussing the story in the days to come. We're slipping into a very short break, but on the other side, graft charges rock CBFC. Tamil actor Vishal flags corruption. He joins me live on the other side of a quick break. Stay tuned.
Every good argument is based on hard facts. Facts that are indivisible and uncompromised. Watch me, Rahul Shivshankar, bring you a clear point of view based on indisputable facts.
The Hard Facts, starting 2nd October, only on CNN News 18.
ಮುಖ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನೀವು ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಕಾವೇರಿ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡದ ಎಂಪಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಶಿವಣ್ಣ ಮುಂದೆ ಕೊಡ್ರಪ್ಪ. ಶಿವಣ್ಣ ಬಂದವನ
ಎಂಪಿ ಕೊಡೋದು
ಪರವಾಗಿ ಧ್ವನಿ ಎತ್ತದ ಸಂಸದರಿಗೆ, ಪರವಾಗಿ ಧ್ವನಿ ಎತ್ತದ ಸಂಸದರಿಗೆ, ಸಂಸದರಿಗೆ ಬೇಕು, ಬೇಕು. ಅಯ್ಯಯ್ಯೋ ಅಯ್ಯಯ್ಯೋ ಮಧ್ಯಸ್ಥಿಕೆ ವಹಿಸದ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ, ಕಾವೇರಿ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಧ್ಯಸ್ಥಿಕೆ ವಹಿಸದ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು, ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. ಸರ್ಕಾರವಂತೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ಸರ್ಕಾರವಂತೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ಕಾನೂನಂತೆ ಕಾನೂನು, ಕಾನೂನಂತೆ ಕಾನೂನು, ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು, ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. ಕಾವೇರಿ 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 25 ಸಂಸದರಿಗೆ, 28 ಸಂಸದರು ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮವಳು 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 ಸಂಸದರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳು ಧಿಕ್ಕಾರ, ನಮ್ಮವಳು 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 ನಮ್ಮವಳು. ಬಿಡ್ಲಾರೇ
ಪತ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನಡೀತೈತೆ. ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಲೇಬೇಕು, ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಲೇಬೇಕು, ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಲೇಬೇಕು. ಕಾವೇರಿ ನಮ್ಮದು, ನಮ್ಮದು, ನಮ್ಮದು. ಕಾವೇರಿ ನಮ್ಮದು, ನಮ್ಮದು, ನಮ್ಮದು. ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು, ನ್ಯಾಯ ಬೇಕು, ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು, ನ್ಯಾಯ ಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ಹೋರಾಟ, ಎಲ್ಲವರೆಗೆ ಹೋರಾಟ, ಏತಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಹೋರಾಟ, ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಹೋರಾಟ. ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು, ನ್ಯಾಯ ಬೇಕು, ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು, ನ್ಯಾಯ ಬೇಕು. ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು, ಎತ್ತಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಹೋರಾಟ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ
Welcome back. Tamil actor Vishal has made serious allegations. He has alleged that Central Board of Film Certification in Mumbai took a bribe of about 6.5 lakh rupees for the censor certification of Hindi version of his film, Mark Antony. On Thursday, he took to Twitter and shared a video in which he accused the CBFC officials of demanding bribe in exchange for screening and granting a certificate to his film. Following these serious allegations against the CBFC, the Information and Broadcasting Ministry stated that government has zero tolerance for corruption and has initiated an inquiry into the claims or allegations that have been made by the actor. In the glitzy world, a cloud of corruption looms large. These are serious regulatory issues that have been flagged. As allegations of graft and unethical dealings surface, many are asking, is it time for a thorough cleanup of the system and to seek accountability? We talked to the actor Vishal and much more here on Viewpoint.
An option given to us, 6.5 lakh का प्राइस रखा सर्टिफिकेशन करने के लिए और सर्टिफिकेट मिलने के लिए. पहले 3 लाख भेजना था देखने के लिए फिल्म और 3.5 लाख सर्टिफिकेट मांगने के लिए. मैंने पे किया पहले 3 लाख और एक अकाउंट में और दूसरा अकाउंट में 3.5 लाख और मिल गया मेरा सर्टिफिकेट और आज फिल्म मार्क एंटनी रिलीज हुआ.
एक एम राजन है जिसके नाम पे 3 लाख रुपए ट्रांसफ़र किया और दूसरे हैं जीजा रामदास जी जिसके नाम पे 3.5 लाख रुपया ट्रांसफ़र हुआ है। मैंने पता लगाया तो ये दोनों जो नाम हैं ये CBFC के ऑफिशियल्स नहीं हैं। इसका मतलब कुछ एजेंट है जिस एजेंट को इन्होंने पैसे दिए होंगे अपनी चीज़ों को क्लियर करने के लिए।
And joining me now is Tamil actor Vishal, who is in the eye of storm. He's made these serious graft allegation and charges against the CBFC in social media, in the public domain. Vishal, thank you so much for speaking with us. It indeed takes a lot to come out with the sort of disclosures that you've made. First, for the reference of our viewers, many argue that this was a bribe that you chose to pay. Why didn't you refuse it? Why did you choose to pay this bribe? Because at the end of the day, even paying a bribe is an offence.
Yeah, I was given no other option but to pay the bribe to get my certification. Because my film Mark Antony was due on to release that release yesterday, 28th. So this was one of its sorts in my entire career, like spanning 20 years and 33 films. I've never come across such a situation in South. But when we went and applied online, and when my person went with a hard disk, we were approached by this lady, and they said that since you have come in the last minute, if you want the certificate by evening, you have to pay a price of 6.5 lakhs, which my manager was shocked, and they said, like, you have only 1 hour to decide, and you have to tell us, because we have to inform the officer, because he said, hey, ya nahi, batao, abhi isi waqt batao.
Yeah.
So my manager called me, and I told him, just give me like 5 minutes time to, because I was totally baffled about the whole scenario. So then I took a collective decision, two ways. One is to pay and make sure to get my film released on due date, because a lot was at stake. And number two is to make sure to bring out the truth, that I never expected corruption happening in CBFC office.
Yeah.
So I told my manager, no cash payment, paid in 2 accounts. As she asked, first is like 3 lakh भेज दीजिए, screening 11:30 बजे शुरू हो जाएगा, और after that pay 3.5 lakhs before the first half gets finished, so that when the officer comes out, we inform them UTR number यही तो है. So आपका certificate शाम 6 बजे या 7 बजे मिलेगा. That was told to us. So I had no other choice. He had no other choice. My manager, he had to somehow get. Yeah.
I'm sure you realize, the seriousness of the allegations and these disclosures that you've made in the public domain. You also claim that you have evidence and proof to back the claims that you're making. But the timing of these allegations has also been questioned. Why did you choose to come out with these disclosures/allegations at this point in time?
First and foremost is for my film to release. I needed the certification because I didn't have a deferred release date. And secondly, there is no time and date fixed to bring about the corruption in our country. Whether it happens at any point of time, it just has to be out in the open for people to see. I'm not. Please forget me as an actor. First of all, I'm speaking here as a common man. I do roles where I fight corruption in the silver screen. I don't just restrict myself to that. When I see corruption happening in true life, I'd rather my conscience pricks. I'd rather bring it out in the open, because I wouldn't be able to face the camera again, shying myself and saying that, okay, I was like a victim for that, but still I didn't bring it out in the open. Do anything about it.
Vishal, one more aspect. You have been in this industry around for a while. And while this bribe was being asked of you, did you see it as something more systemic in nature? Something for which there was far more tolerance by saying that, look, that's how things operate. Aise hi kaam hota hai. This is how things, work. You have to pay a bribe of this nature. Were you told things like these when this bribe was demanded of you?
Honestly speaking, ऐसे होता है तो दूसरा कंट्री में होना पड़ेगा, हमारे देश में नहीं होना पड़ेगा. This is like ऐसे होता है, वो तो बताया, वो औरतें ना, वो तो बताया. आप डिकोड कर सकते हैं हिंदी में, तमिल में बातचीत किया मेरे मैनेजर के साथ. वो तो बताया, ऐसे ही होता है. 15 दिन के पहले एक एप्लीकेशन मिला हमको, उसको सिर्फ 4 लाख हम प्राइस कोट किया, और आप भी 15 दिन पहले आए तो 4 लाख से काम खत्म हो जाएगा. तो आप आखिरी समय आ गया ना, इसीलिए 6.5 लाख, इससे कम नहीं होगा काम. So that means it's like I'm not the first victim. It's been a regular factor that has been happening.
No, that's exactly the point that I wanted you to make, that you're not the first victim and you're not alone here. This is something that has been happening for a while. Let me take this to another point, to another next logical point. The fact that you're not the first victim, the fact that you were told in different ways, explicitly and implicitly, that this is how things are done, this is the order of things. Do you think, other than the people who directly asked you for a bribe, is this just about certain officials, or the rot runs deep?
100%, because I made my manager, I told him 2 things. See, first, no cash transaction. Make sure you do a bank transaction. And secondly, we had to pay 2,000 per bank transaction. And secondly, I said, we are not used to this recording culture. But I told him, please record the conversation. She will not come on a normal call. She will come on a WhatsApp call. Do record it with another phone. I want the recording for further purpose, which he understood for sure, because he knows it's hard-earned money of mine. 600 lakhs is no joke. When we went, when he spoke to her, he got out information from her, and he asked who else is involved in this. I would like to thank the RO or who else. He said no, it goes up the ladder, CEO तक जाता है, and उसमें शामिल है, वो conversation में है, जो वो
Yeah. I want to wrap this conversation on a note in terms of, do you believe there should be a criminal investigation into this entire matter? There's already a demand for CBI inquiry to be conducted. There are noted people who have written that letter to the CBFC as well. And what do you have to tell your detractors who say that you've done this for publicity?
Publicity stunt, I don't think. I'd rather pay 6.5 lakhs and do a paper ad, full page ad. I wouldn't want to pay 6.5 lakhs to a corrupt official to get attention. I don't. I refrain from those kind of methods. I can definitely promote it in any ways with 6.5 lakhs. I don't have to pay a particular board to be part of corruption, because I'm just waiting for action to be taken, not for justice for me, but for people behind my queue, the small time producers. I don't think they will be able to pay that kind of money to get the certification, because certification is something. I'm not doing an adult film or a porn film. I'm doing a genuine film which has been certified already in South India on September, which was released on September 15th. So I don't see any money involved other than the DD that we have to pay. To get the film screened and to pay for the screening charges.
Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, and thank you so much, Vishal, for sharing your story. Let's hope that there is a thorough inquiry into the matter. Joining us on the broadcast is also a special guest, T.S. Nagabharna, who is a film director and also a board member at the CBFC, Mayank Shekhar, who is a film critic, and Kasturi Shankar, who is an actor. Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Nagabharna, coming to you first. The allegations made by Tamil actor Vishal are very serious in nature. What do you think should be the course forward? Should there be a CBI inquiry into this matter?
I always suggest that wherever it is, whether it is CBFC or wherever, whatever office it is, if there is an allegation like this, it has to be properly inquired, and somehow the transparency has to be brought in again, so that we can believe in the office. Otherwise, it will not work especially in a democracy. I think we need that kind of approach. And that too, after several years, we are finding it something good is happening around.
Yeah.
So it's better to have an inquiry, and already I think Minister Ji has already asked for an inquiry, and the process is already on.
But sir, the allegations made here are very serious in nature. It's not just about one actor who was demanded, certain amount of money. Well, yes, that's the prime allegation he is making, but he was with us on the broadcast and he argued that this is something which seems to be like a quote-unquote norm, an unwritten rule that people have to pay these kind of kickbacks to get their job done.
I don't know about the Mumbai regional office, but as far as the Karnataka, in Kannada regional office, whatever I have observed, because I'm also a board member there, I do revisit the revising committee, this thing. You please tell, none of them has pointed out anything like that. Because we have requested the producers, we have conducted and informed the producers association and guild and everyone, so that please have a direct link with the CBFC. You please apply yourself, because you are answerable and you are responsible for your film, not another mediator or anything like that. So invariably, they as producers, they will answer to it. So none of the mediator comes and none of those kind of things happens so far. And I have done 36 films. None of my films had this kind of any of those things in the censor so far.
Right. I take those points. But Mayank, why don't you come into the conversation? These are very serious allegations of corruption that have been made by the Tamil actor. Now, is this opening up of Pandora's box, or should this be seen as a standalone incident that has come to light? Ma'am.
Well, of course, this is one particular allegation and it needs to be investigated. So in that sense, it's a standalone thing. But if you look at it in a larger sense, we're looking at 6.5 lakh goose or bribe for a work to be done in a government office. Now, practically a lot of people in some form or the other have had to face something of this nature at some point in their lives, right? If CBI is going to investigate every investigation of this nature, they're going to be extremely overworked. I think what it does, though, is it does blow the lid of something that must have been a norm for very long. I mean, of course, we know the system at the CBFC office, that there are agents, yes, and they do.
A lot of us don't know the norm, quote unquote, at the CBFC. You're somebody who intrinsically understands the industry and you're an insider. Tell us, what are these norms that everybody knows about but no one talks about it?
Well, I think what has been known, and this is, I'm talking about from many years ago, but what was understood is that they have an agent system and that you do go through someone who is going to make your life a little easier dealing with an office that has that many applications on a daily basis to certify, to put together a jury, which is essentially regular people who form the jury. At least they're supposed to be with some representative of the CBFC sitting in the room. They watch that film. So, given that there will always be a queue, a line for something like this, there is someone who makes it easier for you. You can call him an agent, you can call him a liaison officer.
So the person helps you jump the queue.
Yes, whether he helps you jump the queue or he helps you fill your forms, whether he helps, this is something that you'll see in a lot of Indian government offices. So it's in that sense, I'm pretty sure is a norm. I think what it does, this particular situation, what it does, and I really hope it does that, is when someone speaks up, and if lots of people have been through something similar, they tend to speak up as well. That's really what happened. For instance, if we take the last big thing that happened in the entertainment industry was the Me Too movement, right? Somebody spoke up and then others started speaking up, and then you saw the rot that lay for years together. And I really hope it's not just about Vishal, and that others who've been through something similar sort of put their point across, and there is a genuine cleanup.
I want to use today's platform in discussion, that it's because it's not every day that we get to discuss what is happening in CBFC and the methods or the procedures that exist. Kasturi, is this an open secret that has always been known?
I'm an actor, so I don't have first-hand experience like a producer. Vishal, of course, being a producer himself, very serious allegations that he has brought about, and I completely stand in solidarity with him. I have heard my producers talk about it in, Chinese whispers have been heard, where we've heard, not necessarily in Tamil Nadu that much, but I've heard stories of where you get a UA certificate and then you need to pay up. Producers are always trying to pay to get rid of problems.
Yeah.
So I've heard of people trying to pay or being even demanded payment for rewatching it, recertifying it, going from a UA to a U, or going from an A certificate to a UA certificate.
Yeah.
That usually is the cash cow, because if it's an A certificate, then you cannot sell the movie's television rights. So that's a big taboo. So producers will pay anything. Usually they're very forthcoming with payment to get a UA certificate instead of a A certificate. So I have heard of this before. But this kind of open, where you're not doing anything wrong, you're not bribing someone to, get a shortcut or kind of look above your mistakes and shortcomings. You're paying just to get the job done. It's like a service fee. It's something that
Kasturi,
you have to pay. It's like an entrance fee to
but
get in. That's crazy.
No, exactly. I mean, if the government is not demanding that service fee, anybody else that demands a service fee for a job that is done by a government or a quasi-government or an autonomous body is called corruption by a textbook rule. That's what I think. Mr. Nagabarna, I want to come back to you. When it comes to the procedures at the CBFC, is there a need to make them more transparent and accountable? Are they too bureaucratic in nature?
As it is, I think some of our producer doesn't know, because of the practice which is happening from last 50 years. They think that the agents will take care of everything. Because as she was telling, the producers have got an attitude that if you pay, everything will be done.
Yeah.
So the agents are flourishing because of this, and the agents are agents only. They will not be. They may say that, hey, मैं तो P1 से ऊपर तक मैं pay करना पड़ेगा, वो बोलेगा वो. But it doesn't happen anywhere. With my experience of 36 films to my films, and as I am working in the board from last 7 years, nothing has been seen. I have seen the films, I have reviewed the films, I revised the films, and I can hear the producers' problems. As she was telling that UA आए तो it will be sold to a TV, UA आए तो we cannot, ये आए तो नहीं करेगा. So those kind of things are there. So it is an accommodative thing. It is not a great rule. But as it is, the website, you please go to the website of the CBFC, then you realize the transparency which has been brought from last 3-4 years. Because of the online registration, because of the online queue, because of the everything. But we have to jump, some of them has to jump the queue. How do they jump? Because regional officer has got one vote more. That's saying that, look, it's a very big budget film, very big star film, which is supposed to come.
In our country, whether it's a queue at the CBFC or it's a queue at the temples, people clearly want to jump that queue. That's the story that we're talking right now. I wanna cut across to Mayank once again. Mayank, as I asked you in the beginning, has the system finally acknowledged that there is a problem which has been accepted as quote-unquote a part of the system? चीजें तो ऐसे ही चलती हैं. That has been said so far, and that's what the actor was also pointing out when he was speaking to us. And do you agree with Mr. Nagabarna when he argues that in the last few years, the process has become more transparent and streamlined?
Well, I think across the board, once you digitize, once you make things online, you do get rid of more and more middlemen or agents, as it were, or liaison officers, as they're called. But, we're talking about this because of the CBFC and its movies, and we all have some stake in it. It's entertainment. But the fact is, anybody who's gone to register anything in this country in a government office has been through this, right? And I really hope cleanup starts from here, but it goes to lots of other places that we've all in some form or the other.
Is there a tendency amongst, say, the A-listers or the high-profile producers, I'm not naming anyone here, to want to jump the queue or get the approvals as fast as possible? I believe that's only something that by many ethos would be acceptable in India.
Yes, absolutely. There's a tendency among people who have the money to think that money can be the solution to a problem. And usually it is, especially when it comes to jumping queues and getting some sort of priority service. The moment you give any discretionary power to a government, its babus will have the power and will somehow or the other make good use of it. And that's something that is not only true for CBFC. I'm pretty sure it's true for Indian life in general.
Yeah, but it's also true for CBFC, and we must
Yes.
talk about it so that there is a cleanup. Kasturi, do you have any suggestions in terms of changes that should be brought in as an actor, as an industry insider?
Yes, first of all, I wanted to say, you said, is the CBFC finally acknowledging that there is rot in the system? I'd like to add to what Mayankji said. It's not about acknowledgement. I think they've been exposed. Somebody has blown the whistle and now they have to come to terms with it and either turn a new leaf and clean up their act, or this is going to be, a standard, a continuous embarrassment for them. As far as how to do a better job, I think, yes, digitization definitely helps. But in my experience, I've gone to register property. I've gone to buy a copy of my driver's license after everything went online. And still they found ways to harass me. Still they found ways to get money out of me. And let me tell you this, very foolproof ways. Nothing is directly handed over to them. It's all circumspect. So I have paid into accounts and I've paid people that you will never be able to track back to the actual beneficiary. So I'm pretty sure this is what is happening in the CBFC as well. If as per Vishal's own admission, I think that's what's happening. So frankly speaking, we need to clean up the entire system and we need to change as a society. I think people who give need to stop giving, and people who take need to start feeling cheap about themselves. They have to start understanding.
Well, let's hope, ma'am, that this time, with these
billionaires by
allegations being
rishwat.
made quite specifically on social media and the public domain, and the actor/producer coming out and making these revelations of sort, there is a thorough inquiry, administrative and a criminal one in this. Thank you so much, Mr. Nagabarna, Mayank Shekhar and Kasturi Shankar, for joining us on the broadcast. With that, it's a wrap on Viewpoint. Thank you so much for watching.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Amidst the ongoing diplomatic face-off between India and Canada, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is on a 5-day visit to the US, remember. On Thursday, he met State Secretary Antony Blinken and both spoke on a number of issues. Now, after the meet, Matthew Miller, the spokesperson for the US State Department, said that he won't disclose private diplomatic discussions or statements.